And even, there's this part actually later on. And by the way, and what I notice is the way I play it when the verse comes in is it's in 5/8. Anyway, I mean, I'll bore you with that. The meter is an odd meter. It's 5 beats. And, what was I gonna say next? Right, the chorus or interlude that comes in. So we have, kind of becomes a bit more chromatic afterward. What's wrong? That's not it. But it's got a nice, it's not right. You're not doing it correctly. You're trying to demonstrate here and you're not doing it correctly. So that uses even darker notes than Phrygian, in a way, but in a way, kind of, when you go darker than Phrygian, the notes become ambiguous as whether they're dark or bright. Like this. Could be interpreted this way. That creates a Lydian dominant sound, which is basically a very, very bright dominant sound. If I play it, however, this way, so you have a diminished sound. But because we're using it in a context of a major chord, it sounds uplifting on the major chord, of course, but the rest of it around there is kind of creating this fight toward a darker sound, or at least a more complex and more urgent and more frenzied sound. But still, that's Lydian sounding, right? Whereas that's Locrian sounding. And to me, actually, that sort of sound of diminished versus this sort of sound of diminished, it's kind of more sweet, you know. This one, however, it sounds very like, is more harsh. This is sweeter. This is sweeter. This is harsh. And this, of course, is triumphant in the context of all the darkness. You can hear it. When you have a chord tugging in major against an otherwise minor context, it sounds very triumphant. And I think this is the end of O Fortuna by Karl Orff. I think what is it? I'm gonna try over tune now. That's the end of it, and then it kind of resolves to that major chord at the end. I'm in C sharp. Because the song is actually originally in D minor, so you had to play it in the right key, of course. You could transpose anything. But yeah, you play a major chord in a minor setting. It sounds triumphant. It's what they call a Picardy third, or tierce de Picardie, which basically has it's a major triad or major third that arises in a minor context, a minor setting. A minor triad that comes upon a major setting, by the way, is a lot less common. To resolve to minor after a whole major scenario is, in its full absolute, is actually almost unheard of. But by the context of like, say, I don't know, like a song like there are a couple of Ace of Base songs from the 90s, actually, I can think of, that kind of emulate that sort of effect. There's even, actually, what is it, there's, this song by Garbage, the band Garbage, that does, it's called Super Vixen. So, yes. And the results here. Come down to my house, stick a stone in your mouth. You can always pull out if you like it too much. Make a whole new religion, a falling star that you cannot live without, and I'll feed your obsessions. There is nothing but this thing that you'll never doubt. It is hard to resist, and I never miss. Sorry, don't play the whole song. But yeah, you have this chord that is expected to be major, but it's a minor chord. It's a minor tonic in this setting. Yeah, this song covers like 3 different keys. It's F sharp major minor. You have B major minor. But you have A minor. And actually, come to think, I was listening to it earlier yesterday. The song is actually kind of in between keys. It's like kind of actually really a sharp F. Right. But to me, it's like, it's in between, so it's like, it's just, to hear it that way, it sounds kind of odd. It's always sounded to me in the sharper key more so, for whatever reason. I don't know exactly the temperament of it, but yeah. But yeah, I got to a tangent, didn't I? As usual. The song itself, I guess, it's there, it just needs work, is all. I'm always saddened to see mild apathy, or total apathy from people to things that clearly I put a lot of stock in. And that I, maybe aren't perfect by any means. I don't intend to be perfect. I do intend some mastery, of course. It's maybe a lot to ask of myself, but the fact that it's there in some sort of capacity, I would think that some people would, encourage me more, or, would, take to it in some way and appreciate it in a way that I can tangibly receive online, and recognize through online engagement. Because honestly, it's like, it's one thing to say it in the real world to my face, which is nice, and I appreciate that, but honestly, like, certain things, when you're behind closed doors, when you're in the dark, away from me, it's like, it's easier to showcase apathy or showcase derision through silence or whatnot, in a way that, like, is that a big term? It's just easier to kind of show the cold shoulder when I'm not in the room. Versus, like, if I'm in the room, you kind of have to engage with me, or at least if I show up and we meet eye to eye, then there's, like, some social imperative that we engage, which we don't have to, but, if we don't, it tends to suggest some sort of animosity. Versus online, if there's cold shoulder, it's like, it could totally not translate to the real world, and it could totally be forgotten in the real world, but online it's quite evident. So that does concern me. But yeah, I can hear I'm still a bit wizened from the cold I had, which I think was, but but anyway, let me see if I can play this one more time. How bitter is ecstasy at the tongue of my soliloquy. Set me for a world not so in glee. And how sweet is misery at the loss of all fidelity to the flowing order of which we can see. Like a toast of kerosene at the gates of hell of unseen, I would cry to realize that just like me. So it seems I rest my head at the tombs of those already dead, to walk among a vast much dread. One more thing, this portion is actually from A mixolydian. That's why it's darker on C sharp Phrygian dominant, because this is already darkened the key that it borrows from, which is that major, brighter major key. So I go up here. It's a very strong lift. Anyway, have a good night, sleep well. See you in the morning when you watch this.